Look, I always hope the best for Jim. I'm hoping he succeeds. He's come a long way. Do you understand what I mean? We all did bro from facts. That's what I'm saying, my GSU guys. No, I would like to share something with you. I'm referring to just not being my man. You must acknowledge that this is my man who is incapable of raping. He became my hype man. He became a video director and artist. Thus, his hustling is flawless. As far as I'm concerned about the diplomats, the question is this. Bleak, you need to consider this. Probably in 2001, we released our debut mixtape. 24 years ago. Yes, the album was released in 2003. You sit there and say, okay, let's say we broke up in 2007. Oh, I see. Even in the case of 2008, you have a run of 6 to 7 years. The power of music is just immense. The logo remains motionless. People adore it. In 2010, we had our first reunion following our breakup and reconciliation. Yes, our first reunion performance. It'll be 2010 until 2025 if we can't figure it out now. It has been 15 years since the fights, debates, and reunions. It lasted just 7 laughter years. Everyone continues to view Dipset as an unbreakable brotherhood. However, it isn't actually how things transpired. On the surface, Cam seems respectful as he sits there wishing Jim well and expressing his desire that he wins. However, there's a distinct feeling beneath that tone. He makes it obvious that we all came up together, and there's no denying it. They created something out of nothing and transformed struggle into a movement, and for a brief while it appeared unstoppable. However, the story becomes awkward when he changes the tone and begins to relate how things actually began. Speaking of Jim, I heard you say something like, "Yo, what's up with you and Beans?" on your program. I feel the same way about you and Jim, dude. My G, I need you guys to repair that. Can that ever be remedied, in your opinion? I think it's understood when it comes to the diplomats. It's similar to the Williams brothers on the opposite side of projects and, like, yo, the Smiths, they be bothering. Yes, to me, the diplomat thing is like, no matter what, nobody was bigger than that's right at one specific time. And that's what I recall Dame saying. Yo, Cam, I got to because I got a up deal at Epic. I had to get to Def Jam. When I got to Rockefeller, I started manipulating like, yo, hey, I was in a up scenario, Dame said. I remember fighting for Jim when I was trying to get him on Jewels. No one thought Jim was a rapper, so I said, yo, nah, Jim, you are going to direct my videos. You're going to accept the agreement, this, that, and the third, Jim? Cam essentially acknowledges that this wasn't always equal. He's talking about Jim like, this is my man who couldn't rap. This wasn't simply a bunch of celebrities coming together. And that right there changes everything. That's not hate, that's perspective, and it shows how he really viewed the foundation of Dipset from the very beginning. Basically, I'm fighting for all of us. So, I remember I started getting the Diplomat mixtapes and them shits was hot and Dame was like, Cam, you might want to slow that down. If you put the U out, you'll have to wait for the Diplomats. As a result, they are not the same song. Nobody has time to wait, I say. You've been in a comfortable position for a while. For the past 2 to 3 hours, all of my have been, we're attempting to go forward. So, even like with Jim, I didn't get him his first deal at Coke. Like I got the single, the artist deal at Rockefeller. I went to Kevin Lyles and Liar to get the joint venture deal for Jewels and the Diplomat album. Then Dame just came and started flipping, talking about how you aren't doing any deal with Cam. We ended up going through Rockefeller Def Jam for the Diplomats and Jewels when it was only going to be the Diplomats. This is where Cam really starts laying it out, and it's not subtle at all. He's essentially saying that he didn't just stand next to Jim. He helped build him from the ground up. If I had come and asked you for this deal, you would have told me no. My dude was incapable of rapping, then turning into a hype man, then moving into directing videos. That didn't just happen by accident. That came from opportunity and positioning. Cam is the one pushing doors open while everyone else is still trying to figure it out. He's fighting through bad deals, stuck in situations with labels, and maneuvering between Rockefeller and Def Jam, trying to line everything up not just for himself but for the whole team. Meanwhile, you've got executives like Dame Dash telling him to slow down, telling him not to rush Dipset into the spotlight. Def Jam. Oh wow. Yeah, but Dame went flipping out on Kevin and Kevin Lyles. I remember sitting there, he's like, Dame, I don't make money off albums. I receive a wage. I don't care if it passes via Def Jam, Jewels, or anyone else. Well, let's get back to the diplomat thing. You know what I mean? He has come a long way. From facts we all did, bro. Yeah. That's what I'm saying, y'all bros, my G. I always wish Jim the best. I hope he does well. No, I want to tell you something. I'm talking about simply not being my man. You have to understand that this is my man who couldn't rap. He turned into my hype man. He turned into an artist directing videos, so his hustle is flawless. As for me and the diplomats, you have to consider this bleak. We released our first mixtape probably in 2001, 24 years ago. Yeah, you sit there and say, but Cam wasn't trying to hear none of that. In his mind, waiting meant losing momentum, and losing momentum meant everyone stayed stuck. So he ignored the warnings and went full speed, dropping mixtapes, building the brand, and forcing the industry to pay attention. That move built Dipset quickly, but it also planted the seeds for everything that would go wrong later. This is where reality hits hard, and once you hear it, you can't ignore it. Dipset's actual run, from the early mixtapes around 2001 to the split in 2007 or 2008. Alright, so let's say we broke up in 2007, MHM. Even if you give it in 2008, you got a 6 to 7 year run. Music is just so powerful. The logo is still there. People just love it. Our first reunion, I'm talking about after we broke up and got back together, was in 2010. Yeah, the first reunion show we did. If we can't work things out now, it's been from 2010 to 2025. So the reunions, arguments, and fighting have lasted 15 years. The run was only 7 years. Laughter, we got 15 years of disputes longer than the run. Yeah. The dispute has been going on for 7 years. We'll get together here and there, this and that and the third. But the thing about it is that, and I'll take responsibility for it, we can't talk about the issues, arguments, fallouts, tension, and back and forth reunions that have been going on for over 15 years. Think about that. The drama lasted more than double the success, and that flips the whole story on its head. They tried to get back together in 2010, did reunion shows, and kept linking up here and there. At one point, Jim had performed with 50, right? And I think it's on the time you and I are on right now. I guess he's still upset, but I really wanted to know what it was. How did you get to go with you when you and I were beefing? And I and Jewels and Jim, I'm not saying we were beefing, but we weren't on the same page, so it was a real question for me. And Jim got mad about it and is still upset about it, but at the end of the day, the run was 7 years old. 17 years of diss records directed at me. Laughter, I don't give a... You know what I'm saying? My brain ain't there. In the same way, Beans has diss records that disparage me and all that, and it's like I don't know where is coming from. Right. Exactly. You know what I mean? But it's time to definitely embrace what is. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I'm saying too. Like it's the best thing, and every time it seemed like things might finally get right, something else pulled it apart again. At that point, it's not just bad timing. It's a pattern that never really got fixed. This is where things stopped being internal and started getting messy. While Dipset was already shaky, 50 Cent steps in and applies pressure without even trying. Jim ends up doing a show with him. On paper, that might not seem insane, but timing is crucial. Cam is sitting there thinking, hold on. We're not even in agreement at the moment, so how are you connecting over there? It's not a haphazard move. That's something that raises serious questions. They're completely different scenarios, but you talked about it. I didn't even watch the interview, but I did see a clip. Yes, when they asked you if would ever speak again, they and you said that they crossed the line. Yes. With Game, I feel like there is a line that was crossed, like Beans isn't going there. I don't even need to ask Jay, it's like, nah, is done. It ain't ever. That's like we get on the phone. I'm going to pick up the phone tonight. You know what I mean? But I feel like it's between them, right? I simply know him, but the reason I brought that up isn't because Big is also my big brother. Shout out to Biggs. Yeah, shout out Biggs. Definitely. Shout out like OG. Yeah, that's my big bro. So it's like this. For instance, right? And that's what I'm saying, right? I built a few different entities that are doing well. Right now, unless Jay feels like being nostalgic or whatever, you're going to see those hats that you wear. It's not like we could go to Rockefeller every 5, 6, 7, or 8 years, but this is what we're doing. Therefore, it's never a problem to feel nostalgic and think back on the past, but if you do that too much and base everything you do on what happened in the past, you're just going to sound like with a bunch of stories and you're old and bitter and so on and so forth, and then emotions take over. According to Cam, Jim goes on a long run of frustration, talking, reacting, and staying heated way longer than expected, and Cam's just watching it like this. He essentially says, "I don't even care anymore," in reaction to years of diss recordings, relentless criticism, and clips sent to him. That's a different kind of distance. He even mentions how this has been going on since a long time ago, like Jim dropping songs like Our Frenemies, and maintaining that same energy for more than 10 years. At some point, stops feeling like a back and forth and starts looking one-sided. Cam isn't reacting, not responding, and not feeding into at all. And that's what really stands out here. When someone goes quiet like that, it's not an active problem anymore. Cam isn't really speaking from emotion anymore. He's speaking from experience, and the message is simple, even if people don't want to hear it. When money, business, and structure aren't aligned, loyalty doesn't hold the way people think it does. Dipset looked like a brotherhood from the outside. But behind the scenes, deals, decisions, and timing were pulling everything in different directions. One side focused on building fast. The other reacted to moves as they happened, and eventually that gap turned into something that couldn't be patched up. And then you got 50 Cent in the background showing a completely different approach. Strategic moves, controlled positioning, thinking long-term instead of emotional reactions. That contrast is what makes this whole story hit harder. At the end of the day, this isn't just about who's right or wrong. It's about how a powerful movement can fall apart when the business side isn't solid, and how the same situation could have looked completely different with the right structure in place. At this point, it's bigger than just Camron and Jim Jones going back and forth. This is what happens when loyalty and business stop working together. And once that gap opens up, it's nearly impossible to close it. What's even more bizarre is that the beef lasted longer than the success. 7 years of dominance turned into more than 15 years of tension, shots, and unresolved business. That's not just a fallout. That's a complete shift in how things played out behind the scenes. Now, the real question is straightforward. Do you think they can ever truly fix this? Or is this one of those situations where too much has already happened to ever go back? If you think this kind of content is amazing, please share your opinions below. Stay tuned for more.